What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and in today's episode of the first-person shooter tutorial series, we are going to be going over improved screen shake for firing. So you'll see this is a lot better, because the other one was too over the top. This looks like a little bit of recoil is being added, and you can see it better with other weapons like the bruiser here. So as I shoot, there's a little bit of screen shake, but it's not completely throwing the weapon out of the line of sight. Additionally, when I'm shooting with aim down sights, it's actually still usable. Whereas before, it was bringing the gun all the way toward the character. It was bringing the view completely away from the weapon. I couldn't really aim down sights and get that shake effect, and now we can, which looks beautiful. I'm very happy about it. So before we hop into this episode, if you want to get caught up in the series for the entire first-person shooter tutorial, then you can go ahead and click this iCard in the top right corner right here to go to the entire playlist. Alternatively, if you don't care about that and you just care about the screen shake effects and your visuals when firing a weapon, you can click this iCard in the top right corner right here to go to the first episode where we implemented shake in the first-person shooter tutorial series. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. This is a code and blueprint tutorial series. We're going to be working mainly in the code today. We will be changing or removing a few things in blueprint to make it a little bit cleaner and more optimized, so there will be a little mix. So first things first, I want to go to my base weapon BP, because this is where we were handling the screen shake for the fire weapon. So base weapon BP, we have this fire weapon event, and we determine if it's a projectile or a hit scan weapon. Then we determine if we're aiming down sights or not, and then we were starting a camera shake. So we were using the player camera manager, getting the first player index, calling start camera shake, passing in our base fire shake blueprint that we had, and then everything else was left alone. Now my other screen shake effects, not the fire shake, were done in code. I did the fire shake effect in blueprint to show how you could create a blueprint class for the legacy or matinee camera shake in Unreal Engine. However, I want to convert this camera shake to code today. Not only is it the one camera shake that is in blueprint, but also this is a camera shake that we may want to change drastically for each weapon, and so we could have lots of children of this, so I want the base to be in code. You can leave the start camera shake function calls in here if you want to, but I'm going to take them out and move them to code as well. So not only is the shake class itself going to be in code, but where we're starting the camera shake is also going to be in code. So I'm going to get rid of this in both sections where it was. Fire weapon looks like this. It is the same, just without the start camera shake function call. So now this is cleaned up a little bit. Next thing we want to do is go create a new C++ class for this fire shake. But before that even, I actually want to go and rename my blueprint shake. So if I go to first person, blueprint, effects, this camera shake effect was called base fire shake before, and this is what I want to call the code class. So even though I left the values in here the same, I renamed this to base fire shake BP. I will keep it in here for reference in the series in case anyone wants to continue to use their blueprint camera shake effects, but definitely rename it if you are going to keep it. Again, mine is base fire shake BP now because I want to call my code class base fire shake. So go to my C++ classes and go to where I want to put this new camera shake. Right click, new C++ class. Go to all classes and we're going to search for legacy camera shake. This one right here is the matinee camera shake in UE4, renamed to legacy camera shake in UE5. You hit next and then you name it whatever you want. Again, I was calling it base fire shake. Now, depending on your IDE, like Visual Studio or Rider, when you create this class, it will go create it on the back end. You may have to reload the editor or you may not. Regardless though, once the class is created, we can continue. Also note that I cannot create this class because I've already used this name, which is right here. I made it before this episode. Base fire shake. So I can get out of this and I can go to my code. Now I want to go to the new class that I created. So that is baseFireShake.h and baseFireShake.cpp. Let's go to baseFireShake.h. The includes, the copyright notice, the class itself will all be created when you make this class except for these two lines right here. So I've added a constructor and I made it public. This constructor will set all the default values on the camera shake when this object is created. So when the camera shake is played, it will have those values. So simply public : and then the name of the class, which is uBaseFireShake. That's all we need in the header file. We can go to the CPP file, and in here you should have your include to the header and your copyright notice. So I'm going to fill out my entire constructor. ubasefire shake, : ubasefire shake. And we have a lot of examples of these camera shake effects, not only in this series, but my other series as well. So if you want to dive into more details on these camera shakes, I do recommend watching those episodes. I'm going to do a quick overview today with some very minor stuff. It's not going to go into the same detail because we don't need as much logic in here today for a proper effect of this type. Although you may for your weapon, so if you do, those videos will help. For this one, we need to set the length of the camera shake effect, and we can do this using the oscillation duration. So this is in seconds, and the reason this is important is because if this is 0, it goes on forever, and if it's not, it will take this long to finish. So oscillation duration is a parameter on Legacy Camera Shake that we can set. I'm going to set it to 0.25f. This is 0.25 seconds, or a quarter of a second. Then I have oscillation blend in time and oscillation blend out time of 0.01f for both. I think this is useful because this blend time will be the time between no camera shake and camera shake. So in blend in time, we're going from no camera shake to the shake. If we give it no blend in time, it's just going to snap to where the camera shake is deemed as the first location, which can make it look very choppy. It may be the look you're going for, depending on what your game looks like, so you might not want any blend in time, but I want a little bit. And I also want a little bit of blend out time because I don't want it to go just from the shake effect back to the regular view. That also looks choppy in some cases. I made sure their combined time is less than the full duration because if I set this to a value greater than 0.25f, then it would be blending in for the entire duration. So these are just arbitrary values, but these are a lot better than the values that I had in the blueprint version of this class because the shake was way too much every time I fired a weapon. It was like firing a cannon, which maybe is what you want. Then I also set the rotation oscillation specifically on the pitch for this camera effect. So the pitch is the up and down, and so rotation oscillation is really just the movement of it. So we're pitching it up. Individually, the parameters I set on it are the amplitude. I set it to 5.0. This is how intense the rotation oscillation is going to be. So 5.0 is relatively mild. Then you have the frequency, which is how fast this is going to do it. 1.0 means once per second. I played around with this and this was the value I thought looked really nice. But this is basically how fast it is going to run through this camera shake movement. The initial offset is where we want this oscillation to begin. So if it's at 0, it will be the same every single time. So raw oscillation.pitch.amplitude, raw oscillation.pitch.frequency. This one's raw oscillation.pitch.initial offset. It's going to be set to an enum value that exists within Unreal, initial oscillator offset, : we have EOO underscore offset 0. The other one you have is EOO offset random. So this is going to start you at a different part of the camera shake every single time you do it, which isn't the effect I want. It can look nice. We do use it in different camera shakes in the series. But for firing the weapon, I actually want it to be consistent because I think it's something that feels right when you do it that way. So anyway, I chose offset 0 to keep it consistent every time. Then you also have EOO underscore max. That's basically just telling you how many elements are in the enum. And there are 2 elements in the enum. Shouldn't ever set it to that value, I'm just letting you know. And then raw oscillation.pitch.waveform, and here we're going to set it equal to an enum in Unreal called oscillator waveform, : I put it to Perlin noise, but sine wave is here too. These are just different types of graphs or methods of performing oscillation. I go into a lot more depth in the other episode on camera shakes, but this will be good enough for now. You can use sine wave or Perlin noise. They both look good. They just look a little bit different. I had it as Perlin noise, but really it's just a preference thing. Now, if we want to play the camera shake effect in code, we can do that. I want to go to where we're going to fire our weapon. So we were previously doing it in fire weapon in the blueprint, but we have a fire weapon code function. We want to call it in there. So if we go to baseweapon.cpp, scroll down to the fire weapon function, we have some logic in here for different weapon types, but right now we're just going to use the same fire shake for every weapon. And so I will put it at the bottom of the function below everything. Play the fire camera shake effect. Then we're going to use gameplay statics, : get player camera manager. It's got 2 parameters. One is the context and the other is the player index. The context just means anything from that world. So use get world for the context, 0 for the player index. Then we call the same function we were calling in the blueprint, which is start camera shake. We have to give it our camera shake class. I'm going to pass it ubasefire shake, : static class, parentheses. To be able to access this class in this file, we need to include the base fire shake in it. So if we go up to the top, include base fire shake.h. Now everything can be built successfully. Now once that's done, you can go ahead and play the game. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the first-person shooter tutorial series where we went over fire weapon camera shake events and improvements. If you did, please subscribe. It does more for the channel and the series than anything else you can do, and I really appreciate it. If you're interested in supporting the channel further and getting some more benefits along the way, I recommend you check out the Patreon, YouTube membership, and Discord subscriptions, as many kind people did. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. I'm so incredibly grateful. If you ran into any problems with this episode or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. I would be happy to help you, and the support is completely free. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.